Professor Lennox, maths is observable. We have never observed God. So how do we know that God exists? It specifically says here, in 90 seconds. It's part of the question, John.
That's a very interesting question. We have never observed that God exists in 90 seconds. Well, what are you thinking observation means? Do you mean with a telescope? Seeing something is not just an optical phenomenon. It's seeing evidence of something. You've never seen gravity. Do you believe it exists? You've never seen an atom. Do you believe it exists? You've never seen a thought. Do you believe it exists?
Dr. Fried, a response, if you do? Do you?
Yes, I'm absolutely sympathetic to the notion that many of the things there are not straightforwardly physical, material things. I completely agree, and I think it's a terrible reductionist mistake to think that it is. I absolutely agree with that. When John was speaking, and in response to the question, I reflected on what kind of occasion this is. It's intriguing, I suppose, for a church occasion. I mean, I suppose as a Christian thinker, one might think there are different sorts of occasions to approach one's faith. One is cognitive, intellectual reflection of the kind that we're all doing tonight. But there could be a different route. For all I know, it's an appropriate route. One might have an occasion where you're not thinking about arguments, where you are praying and singing and celebrating together. And what Alvin Plantinga, for example, would think is that this is an occasion where the Holy Spirit is moving through one and kind of bolstering one's faith, and that may be, for all I know, quite a different and appropriate route towards a burning religious conviction.
Yes, God is a person. He's not a theory. And that's very important. We relate to persons, yes, intellectually, but also at many different levels at once. And what you said is immensely important. I don't believe that God is simply a theory, but he's a person who's revealed himself in a person. And therefore, I can interact in ways that are not simply discussing various philosophical and logical arguments. That's part of it, an important part of it. But it's not the only part of it, just as I've noticed that my marriage doesn't consist in discussing Wittgenstein all the time.
My marriage, on the other hand, is a very Wittgensteinian union of people.